Welcome to Shared Value Conversations, the podcast that explores the intersection of shared value, ESG, sustainability, and entrepreneurship in Africa. This is more than just a discussion, it's a movement that redefines the future of business on the continent. Through thought provoking conversations with business leaders, sustainability experts, and innovative entrepreneurs, we want to uncover real world challenges, breakthrough successes, and transformative opportunities that shape Africa's sustainable future. Our mission? To inspire action, foster collaboration, and empower businesses to integrate shared value, ESG, into their strategies, proving that purpose and profit can go hand in hand. So, today, I have the privilege and honor to kick off our first episode with a guest who embodies the very essence of shared value and entrepreneurship in Africa. Tiekie Barnard is a dynamic and visionary serial entrepreneur with a deep passion for empowering African businesses. She is the founder and CEO of Shared Value Africa and Shift Impact Africa. And we're very excited to have you here. Thank you, Tiekie, for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Kate. And I love your opening statement because it is, if the mission is to inspire action, I really hope we can get people to take action because that's what we need on the African continent.
Very true. So I'm curious, just to help us get to know just a little bit about you before we delve into your wealth of experience. Just tell us, if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what will they be?
I guess for me, it would be how am I as a person? I'm driven. I'm a visionary. That's my second one. And I'm an entrepreneur.
A driven visionary entrepreneur. I think that's all in our goalposts, right? Thank you for that. I'm sure if I asked you to unpack that, we'd stay here the whole day. True. So let's dive right into the meat of this discussion. Your personal journey, starting with your personal journey and your vision for shared value in Africa. What was your aha moment? Like, what made you commit to shared value in the work that you do?
Okay, thank you for that. It sets me on a journey of history as well. So just to share with you, in 2016, while I was studying for my honors degree, we had to choose our topic for our final research paper. And I think at the time, because we were focusing on sustainability, I stumbled across Michael Porter and Mark Kramer's article on shared value. And it so intrigued me. I decided to explore the concept further and then eventually wrote my final research paper on shared value. And as a reward for me persevering through the challenges of balancing work and studies, which I'm sure you also familiar with because I heard that you studying.
It's true.
Yep. I decided, to sort of say thank you to myself, and I attended the 2016 Shared Value Leadership Summit in New York. And then sitting at the Conrad Hotel in this conference room, listening to all the panelists discussing Africa's potential, and the work that they're doing in Africa, I realized there was not a single speaker from Africa on stage. And I guess at that moment, I realized that for me, that shared value concept that everybody was talking about is deeply rooted in our African concept of Ubuntu. And for me, it was a realization that it was up to us to try and take the shared value, bring it back to Africa, and drive this movement on the continent. And I guess, Kate, to answer your question, that was my aha moment, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's amazing that outsiders are more interested in what is happening in the house, and the people in the house are not actually in the conversation. So thank you for bringing the conversation into the house.
That's such a nice analogy.
So I'm curious, since 2016, first of all, I hope you can share with us the research paper that you did. Uh, and even it will be even more interesting to hear your perspective as after everything you have been through, being on the ground and raising advocacy about shared value. What you think about your paper this many years later?
Yeah, look, I have looked at it and I'm not sure if I'm prepared to share it, but it's open in any case. It's out there with my alma mater, but I can share it.
That's homework for all our listeners. Go find that paper and tell us what you think. So I'm curious. As you're creating and forming Shared Value Africa initiative previously, and now Shared Value Africa, what is the biggest challenge? Or I'll be generous here. Give us two of your biggest challenges in setting up SVA and growing it, and how you've been able to navigate these problems.
So I think, if you think about it, my biggest challenge was building credibility and trust, because here comes a new voice advocating for shared value in Africa. It's a new concept. It's a new voice, and many businesses were so unfamiliar with the concept of shared value, the business management concept of shared value, and hesitant to move beyond the traditional corporate social responsibility models. So many people thought at the time that I was actually talking about corporate social investment, and I had to navigate all of this and take that leap of faith, Kate, by organizing the first ever Shared Value Leadership Summit here in South Africa, to try and get the concept out there and make business aware of it. And I did it with no funding and risking a second bond on my house, because which everybody told me was very silly at the time, but I believed so deeply that it was the right thing to do. And I also knew at the time, Kate, that God was on my side. I had an incredible young team around me at the time that also believed, like me, that it was a responsibility to bring change into the lives of those less fortunate than us. So, Kate, I knocked on countless doors. Many of them were closed but just faced many rejections, but never gave up, because in my heart, I knew that shared value was what Africa needed to help our people. We need to make business leaders realize that it's not about profit only, as you said in the beginning, but it's about profit with purpose and caring for all of our stakeholders. I just want to say I've also been, Kate, very blessed as I built strong partnerships, met some incredible leaders, built friendships that will last a lifetime, engage businesses, research real life examples to showcase, to try and get people to shift mindsets towards the business management concept of shared value. And I believe it was about perseverance, persistence, purpose, resilience, and an unwavering belief that we needed to shift business mindsets from what you said, that profit focus only, to profit with purpose. And it's also about my personal purpose, getting up every day, knowing that I had a God-given responsibility to drive change and help those less fortunate than me. So I hope I answered your question.
You did, and I hope that every entrepreneur listening will get that the grit that you need, no matter how many people don't believe in your dream at the onset. You just need to stick with it, because they will finally be converted to your way of thinking, hopefully. Yeah.
Yes, it's about believing in what you want to do. That's the big thing, because if you believe in it, you can make other people believe in it.
Very true. Thank you so much for sharing your history and your personal journey. Now, I've heard you say before that shared value is the precursor to ESG, right? So, moving into the implementation part of it, ESG is now becoming sort of a fad or sort of a fashion trend in the business world. What is the biggest misconception you have faced about ESG that businesses in Africa have?
So I think exactly what you said, a shared value Africa, we advocate that the creation of shared value is the precursor to ESG, exactly like you've iterated now. And the shared value principles focus on profitability or profitably solving societal and environmental challenges through the core business, while an ESG framework provides the structure for credible reporting. And I think just what is happening in Africa, because ESG for a while has become this buzzword, more of a buzzword than actual, of actually implementing it within the reporting framework. I think that there's been a shift, Kate. There has been a shift, and more businesses are recognizing the value of ESG reporting in Africa. You know, the misconception persists that ESG in the beginning was merely about compliance. We had to comply to what the EU was saying. We had to comply to what our investors wanted, but it's a lot more than just compliance. In reality, ESG is a driver of sustainable business models that promote long-term growth while we addressing those societal and environmental issues through the core business. And true ESG practices are built on the foundation of shared value. And that's why they interlinked. You know, aligning business success with positive impact. That's what happens when you bring shared value and ESG together. And that approach, that interlink between shared value and ESG, that approach makes companies more resilient, more competitive, and attractive to those very investors that we're doing our reporting for. So for me, without shared value as the core, ESG risks becoming a superficial reporting exercise rather than a meaningful, impactful driven strategy.
That's very insightful. I wonder, just based on your experience, how much have we contextualized or have we owned ESG in Africa and shared value in how we implement it?
I think what is happening on the Africa continent, I think there's more of an awareness, Kate, of the fact that ESG is more than just a reporting framework. It actually can assist companies to critically look at the business from a strategic perspective and then see how it actually affects your bottom line. If you get your ESG implementation and your impact right, what happens from an ESG perspective is that we are doing good while doing good business.
It's very great for Africa, I believe.
Yes, it is, but I think there's still a bit of a struggle because we have the perception that ESG obviously comes from the outside world. And can we, although I've been speaking to some of my peers, and I think David from Strathmore Business School, we were thinking of coming up with a ESG framework for Africa.
Oh,
Without,
thanks.
yeah.
Okay. So, especially building onto that ESG framework for Africa, meaning that we want to balance profit making and sustainability in a practical way, right? How do we do that? Give us some practicalities on how someone in a business is listening and they're wondering, okay, I want to make profit, but I also want to build sustainability in my business. How can that be practical?
Yeah, I think it's such a good question because balancing profit and sustainability requires integrating social and environmental considerations, that you have in your core business and also taking it into your core business strategy rather than treating them as separate initiatives. So you've got your environmental on the one side and you've got your accelerating gender equality on the other side. It all needs to be an integrated strategy. And it's about identifying opportunities where solving societal and environmental problems creates business value. It's like we said before, it's profitably addressing societal and environmental issues. And an example, just a very simple example to give you. If an organization invests in a local supply chain, it will not only boost the local economy, but it also reduces cost from a transporting perspective. If you think about it, if they were transporting their food products, into the shops, from far away, so it reduces cost, and it also ensures supply chain resilience. And I think companies, we've seen that shift in a lot of ways with FMCG companies where they now sourcing locally, because it's so important, because we need to support our local economies, and reduce the cost and the impact that we have on our CO2 emissions. And companies must measure the impact, they must set clear goals, and they must innovate for this, and use sustainable practices that drive both profit and purpose.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, because in all that you've said, one thing has remained clear, that if a business was to actually practically balance profit making and sustainability, you need to look at your environment with new lenses. You need to look at the you have to have a possibility mindset in how you're looking at your environment around you. I think that's really amazing, because we can now be the solutions to the problems in our society.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is so important. I mean, we've seen in our world so many young businesses, that has moved into this circular economy, and recycle, and looking at it from an environmental perspective, because it's something we have an obligation to do if we want to leave, a planet behind for the children and for the ones that come after us.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So I'm wondering, we've finished looking at the now, the present, and how we can inculcate shared value into our business strategy. Now let's look at the future, right? Looking at the future of shared value in Africa. If you had to predict the biggest sustainability shifts in Africa, let's be a prophet now. Huh?
I wish I had a looking glass.
Let's pretend you do. So if you can predict the biggest sustainability shift in Africa in the next 10 years, what would it be?
Okay, I think, Kate, it's my prayer and my hope that the biggest shift will be the rise of sustainable agriculture and renewable energy solutions, driven by all of this technology and local innovation that we have on the Africa continent. Because I think that if we look at Africa's vast natural resources, combined with our youthful population, we can position the continent as a leader in green growth.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, we can do that because we've got the brain power. As I said, we've got the youth. We've got such wonderful natural resources. We've got the arable land. And also when every day you hear about another, innovative digital something that's happened with entrepreneurs, I think that just from a technology perspective, everybody is always looking at Africa to see what's happening, from a technology perspective. And I also believe that the digital platforms will empower entrepreneurs to drive these circular economies, and reduce the waste and promote these inclusive business models that address societal challenges. So yeah, the green economy will become ours.
We have a lot to look forward to then, it seems.
Yeah,
She say Africa is where we're building our global future, huh?
yes, that's not mantra, as you know.
Exactly. So, let's something for our young entrepreneurs that are listening right now. What is the one action that an entrepreneur or someone listening can take today to embed shared value in their business?
Yeah, you know, when we look at our young entrepreneurs, they are all so socially conscious already. You know, because normally a young entrepreneur comes up with a solution because he's seen his community struggling, you know. But what I want to say to entrepreneurs, when you have this idea, is you use that idea and then identify, you know, from a social and an environmental aspect, how will that align with your idea and your business model? You know, that you've put together, and integrate, you know, shared value into your core strategy if you have not done that already. Because if you think about a social entrepreneur, you know, they are addressing a social issue already. So it's just how they integrate social and environmental. And we see it every day. Entrepreneurs that start businesses to address, as I just said, an issue in their community, you know, and then to then focus on creating value for all their stakeholders, you know, to make sure that we pay the people that worked for us, to make sure that we service our customers, and we do our deliveries on time, or we create products that they will come back to buy from us, you know, so that we pay our suppliers and we treat our suppliers well. And also then look after the communities in which we operate, because they are our biggest supporters. And one thing that I also want to say to entrepreneurs, specifically if you're going to be looking for investment and growth in the future, measure your impact. Set clear goals for yourself, and then communicate your progress, because people are not going to know about you if you don't tell them.
Very
Right.
true.
Yeah, you have to use that communication platform. And most importantly, I want to say, stay authentic and committed to making a difference while building your profitable and sustainable business. And lastly, treat everyone that crossed your path with honesty and respect, as that will create trust. And without trust, we all struggle to succeed. You know, we've seen that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tiki, for those enlightening words. And as we wrap up this enlightening conversation, I think that's my word for the day. I think for me, three things are very clear. Every entrepreneur out there, no matter how well known or unknown your idea is, you need to believe in yourself and to stick with the course with which you have set out to go on. Two, it's important for all of us, especially if we want to inculcate shared value into our businesses. We need to look at our environments with new lenses. We need to have the mindset of the possibilities that are around us. They just need to be uncovered. And most importantly, is that shared value is not just a theory, it's a practice that drives real impact. Any final words, any final sentence you want to leave our listeners with, Tiki?
Kate, I want to follow on exactly what you said now about shared value not being a theory. Shared value is more than a business management concept. It's a commitment to addressing the challenges we face with solutions that uplift communities and fuel sustainable growth. And in closing, Kate, my journey has shown me that with passion, persistence, and purpose, we can redefine business as a force for good. My invitation to all of you that's listening to us today, come, let us lead the change together. You know, and as Kate said, my mantra is Africa is where we're building the global future. And thank you for this opportunity, Kate.
Thank you so much, Tiki, for making the time. Everyone, Thank you for tuning in to Shared Value Conversations. If this conversation inspired you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and join our coming conversations in the coming months and also on social media. Let us continue to challenge the status quo, foster collaboration, and create lasting impact together. I've been your host, Keton Sati, and look forward to having you again next time. Goodbye.